what's up, man? This is Thumper, the Shredding Hippie. And so people have been asking me about what my inspiration was for coming up with my new surfboard, the Hypnotoad, man. And I'm really excited about this board, and I would love to tell you my experience and my thought process and the research and development that went into creating this radically bitchin' board that you cannot get anywhere. Nobody is making a board with all of this stuff in it, guaranteed. I know because I looked. Here's the deal. A few years back, I had a rusty Dwart, and that was one of the funnest boards I've ever had. Man, I dug that board. Now, the Shredding Hippie, you know, I weigh 200 pounds, I'm 5'9". It's hard to find surfboards with enough volume for me at my height because, you know, to get 45.5 to 46 liters, I've got to start going up 6'6", 6'8", you know, and by then, you know, the boards really don't want to turn all that well because they're really long. They make really great winter boards, but they're not so good in anything, you know, from knee high to shoulder, head high, anything, you know, below shoulder high, and they're long boards. So I had this board, the rusty Dwart. Now this thing was 6'6". It was almost 22 inches wide and almost 3 inches thick, 2 7/8 inches thick. Now, as it turns out, it had more volume in it than they had written on it, and so I ended up going a little too big even for me, and it was almost 47 liters, and the thing was just huge. Now, the good thing about it was it paddled great, it catched waves like crazy, and as long as the waves were either mushy or almondy, you know, I had a great time. Even if the waves were big, man, I could go, you know, pushing double overhead on that board, just because of how big and how wide it was. But as you know, those things are thick. So when you get a board that's that tall and that wide and that thick and with that flat of a bottom, you end up getting kind of limited as soon as the waves start to pitch. So what would happen is I would be jamming along on a wave, and, you know, maybe an almondy wave, or maybe it was a little mushy, and I'd be tearing it up, and then we'd hit a sandbar and it would suck up. Now, because the thing was so wide and so thick, it would stick to the wave, and if I tried to either get inside, you know, the barrel, or if I tried to, you know, carve up under the lip, because it was stuck to the wave like that, the nose would catch and it would throw me off. And so that happened so many times, and I was getting so pissed off, and so ever since then I've been trying to find the perfect surfboard for me, a guy who's 5'9", 200 pounds, you know, 53 years old, and still be able to surf on it and tear it up. So I ended up coming up with a bunch of other boards. I've got this board here, which is the Swiss Army knife, which is a really fun board, but it's a fun board. It's not meant to be anything else. I got the Mush Monster over here, which is just nothing but fun on super small mushy waves. And then I have the Hypnotic, which has turned out to be my perfect winter board. It's awesome. But with that board, just like with the Dwart, if you take a board that big, that tall, that wide, and that thick into smaller waves, it tends to bog down, and it takes a lot of work to turn it. So I've been trying to figure out, hey man, how can I get this thing to work for me? You know, I mean, no matter where I go, I keep running into that ceiling of 2 7/8 inches thick, right? And here's what happened, man. I went to a local surf shop down here in Hermosa Beach, and I found a surfboard from 1981 that was 21 inches wide and 3.5 inches thick, and it was totally a Radical high-performance board. I saw that, and I went, oh my God, what have I been doing, man? I can make my boards thicker. I bought that board, I tested it out, and it tore up the waves, man, and it made me so happy. So I got back in the drawing board, I got together with my shapers, and I told them exactly what was going on, and I said, hey, listen, man, I know for a fact that you can make thicker boards and put them in small packages, and they still shred. So what I did was I took that basic idea from Rusty Dwart, and I made some changes on it. Now, it's going to be like the Rusty Dwart in terms of the outline. You're going to have that fishy nose that tapers down into a smaller tail, which is great for single fins, by the way. Shredding Hippie loves his single fin bonzer setup. Also, what it has is the thickness. It's chunky, so it's thick all the way through from the nose to the tail. It's super thick and chunky. That's great. That means I can pack tons of volume in there. So to get 45.5 to 46 liters at my perfect height for a surfboard, which is 6'2", 21.5, I bumped it up to 3¼ inches thick. So this is this board here, man, and I mean, I'm not kidding. You are not going to find anything like this anywhere. It's basically a rusty Dwart, but thicker. And then on the bottom, man, I put some really cool stuff. What I did is I put rolled V in the nose for obvious reasons, man. It cuts through chop. It helps you catch waves. It gets you into the pocket of the wave quicker as you're taking off. When you got a board that thick and that flat, usually what you got to do is you got to put a ton of V in the bottom. Well, I did the opposite. I turned it into a concave board. I went from a rolled V in the nose to a single concave, which then deepens into a radical double concave and then flattens out as it goes out the tail. What that's going to do for you automatically, since those rails are so thick, when you concave it like that, it sharpens the bottom of the rail and makes it more performance oriented. Because it's a concave, the water comes in underneath, and automatically as you're taking off on a steep pitching wave, it wants to line up and cut into the side of the wave like that. And then when you want to crank your turn, your rails, and because now it's shorter, you can flip that thing around right off the top, do airs, whatever. This is the new way of surfing for guys like me. 5'9", 200 pounds. I know how to surf. I'm in good shape, but I need volume. Maybe you're new to small surfboards, man, and you came off of mini mals. Well, this is going to give you all the stability because it's so thick. Maybe you're a guy like me, you've surfed all of your life, but maybe you got kids, maybe you're not in the same kind of shape you used to be. Doesn't matter, man. You can still ride a board of the same height you used to when you were a kid. You just thicken it up, and if you know what to do to the bottom of it, man, you can get that thing to work for you. It'll still be stable, it'll still catch waves, and it'll still tear up the water, man. Just throwing buckets over the side of the wave on people, pissing them off, wishing they could catch waves like you and surf like you do. So, man, if you're interested, give me a call, because if you tell me everything that I need to know, I can help you determine exactly what the dimensions are you're going to need for this board. And trust me, you can go a lot shorter than you think you can, because I know how to pack volume into these things. This one right here, 6'2", 21.5, almost 46 liters. That's a lot. But the thing will tear up the ocean. So anyway, give me a call. The number's right here below. You can call me and leave me a message or talk to me, man, and I'll answer any questions you have. Look, man, if you want to keep buying the big, even the lost sort of fun board stuff, go right ahead. They're really cool bitchin' boards. What if you want a 4+1? You're not going to find many people who are going to put a 4+1 on a modern hybrid high-performance board. What if you don't want to pay $800 for a brand new surfboard, man? Don't worry, I'll save you a couple $100 easy. And on top of that, I'll give you a board you can't find anywhere else. These boards are hand-shaped in the United States, here in Southern California. So these aren't pop-outs. They're not coming from China or Thailand or any place else. You can talk to me. You got to pick it up here locally, or if you want, you can set up to have it shipped to you. Talk to me. I'll tell you how to do that. So that's it for now, man. Give me a call if you have any questions. Shred till you're dead.